We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hassani. Good to have you all with us. Wherever you may be tuning in from, we're glad you're here. Represent your city, your state, your country so that we could acknowledge you. And we love to hear that. And we want to know, how long have you been watching? Why don't you post that in there today? How long have you been watching this show? I always get surprised. Like, there's a couple here right now. We're on day 3 of our private marriage intensive. And like, yeah, we've been following you for about, 12 months. I'm like, 12 months? What took you so long to call? Right? So, we thank you for your participation, even for those who are watching on the replay. Even those who are on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you're from, we thank you. This is the place where people hang out and we talk about love, life, and relationships. And so we're going to continue a conversation that we've been having for the last couple of weeks on communication. We're going to wrap it up this week, but we're in part 2 of a mini series within the series, and we're talking about 10 things you should never do when communicating, right? So we were talking about some things yesterday, and we want to piggyback on that particular conversation. We talked about all or nothing thinking. We talked about overgeneralizations and mental filters and discounting the positives and jumping to conclusions and, maximizing versus minimizing. And that's where we stopped. And so we're going to pick up today in this conversation. But before we get started, make sure if you haven't downloaded the app, do so. All of our members in the Moving Forward group, you want to make sure you find your group in there. Some groups have found it and they're having a ball in there, and we're waiting for the others to get on in. FOUNDRY, UNEARTHED is coming for you, so get ready. So listen, guys, we're excited. We're excited about all that we're doing next weekend, Last Chance Weekend. Once again, May 13th through the 15th. We're just going to get these announcements out the way. Some of you, we always get those last-minute calls. There's room, there's space, so make sure you reach out. We even have a new payment option available for those that are seriously considering it. And if you go to the website and click Last Chance Weekend, there are 3 payments. Sometimes people say, you know what? I guess we just have to wait. We got to wait a couple months until we're able to move forward. No, with our payment options, you can actually start now and pay thereafter. And so to find out more information, just simply go to the website. But for those who don't know what the Last Chance Weekend is, watch this and we'll be right back.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app.
The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples, sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.org.
Good morning, guys. All right, we're back. We're going to dive into this conversation without further ado. All right, we're talking about the 10 things you should never do when communicating, and we want to pick up on the next one here. I think this is an important one because this is where a lot of us spend our time, right? We park here. We hold up a permanent residence here. It's a part of how we process, how we deal, how we function. And what I'm talking about is emotional reasoning. What do I mean? When you emotionalize your thoughts, how we do that is by saying, I feel such and such, or how I'm feeling about the situation is, or when you do that, it makes me feel. And one thing I always try to say is that there's a difference between feelings and facts. And oftentimes, like if you know Enneagram, which I'm not certified in, Danielle is certified in it, but there are certain personality types and there are triads within those personalities. Some are gut-centered, some are heart-centered, some are head-centered. So obviously the people who are heart-centered lean into their feelings. But generally speaking, I think as human beings, we are feeling-oriented people. So you wake up in the morning, the alarm clock goes off, you don't feel like getting out of the bed, you hit the snooze, you go back to bed. You wake up the next morning, 5 o'clock, you feel like you could run a marathon and you just get up and you go. Feeling oriented. We're governing our lives by our feelings. And some would say that's a good thing. Some would say that's not a good thing, right? Because when you're governed by feelings, feelings are fickle. Feelings come and go. They're in and out. They're up and down. They're everywhere. Feelings are not logical. Feelings don't make sense, right? So when you're speaking the language of feeling with someone who's speaking the language of logic, it's just like someone who speaks Chinese speaking to someone who speaks Russian. You're speaking two different languages, which are hard to understand. This is why we say, and you've heard us say this 1,000 times, never share your feelings when you're in your feelings. But beyond the emotional state that you communicate, and beyond that, processing information through your feelings may cause you to interpret it from a particular vantage point that may not be accurate. Okay, so let me give you a perfect example. So we're sitting on the couch and I'm in my world, chilling, watching TV, flicking through the channels. And my arms are crossed, my legs are crossed, I'm in a comfortable position, and you observe my posture. And it makes you feel as if I'm closed off and I don't want to connect, right? So you're interpreting what I'm doing through a feeling, right? Or I may communicate something to you. I may say something, and I might say it in a particular way. But what I say, I have a certain meaning attached to it. But as you interpret, so for instance, I'm encoding a message to you, you are now decoding that message. To decode a message means that you're interpreting the message. And when you interpret the message through a feeling, your feeling may sometimes be off from the fact. And so that's why we have to learn how to properly manage our feelings and not be completely feeling oriented, because if I feel the way I feel and you feel the way you feel and we just feel differently, then how are we ever going to come together? How are we ever going to operate from a similar premise, right? So God gave us feeling, but we were not meant to be a slave to our feeling. We were meant to be the master thereof. So feelings have its place, but when you're using your feelings as an interpretation of facts, it can be problematic. So emotional reasoning isn't always going to serve you. It is not always going to serve the relationship, because if we're having a conversation about something that's important to push our relationship forward, and there's a whole bunch of feelings. So today I'm angry, tomorrow I'm sad, the next day I'm depressed, the next way I'm just out. Like, feelings now govern and shape how we approach life, how we approach resolution in our relationship. It cannot do it. And this is why we say we want you to be in your best space. We want you to be in your right mind. We want you to begin to manage your emotions and prepare for a healthy conversation in a safe environment so that our emotions do not get in the way. Some people say, I feel like an idiot, so therefore I must be one. Well, no, that's not necessarily true. Or I don't feel like doing this. I just want to put it off. So now what we need to do, I don't want to do, even though I know it's going to push us forward because I'm in my feelings. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I don't feel right this morning. Well, wait a minute. So now, once again, we've become a slave to feelings. And so feelings have its place, but in the context of knowing how to effectively communicate, don't let feelings or emotional reasoning get in the way. Does that make sense? I hope this is making sense, because these are the things that we do that really can sabotage what we're trying to accomplish in the relationship. I'm reading a comment. Carlene says, I wanted to go to this upcoming weekend, but discovered that my husband was not totally honest with his cheating. So I just need to know how to put aside the feelings and move on. Okay, so if you wanted to come to this upcoming last chance weekend, which is next weekend, and he's still lying, that's the reason why you should come. See, this is the challenge, right? So people will say, oh, we're not ready yet because we're such in a bad place. Okay, so you want to get help when you're in a good place? You want to go to the doctor when everything's right? You want to go to the counselor when there are no problems? Like, this is the time when you want to go. Because if you don't come because he's still lying, well, what's going to keep him from lying? What's going to cause him to stop? What's going to motivate him to show up different? Doing nothing? Time? When you're in the thick of crisis, that's exactly when you want to come. You have to understand, there's 3 types of people who come here. Couple number 1, they both want the marriage. Couple number 2, one wants it, one does not. Couple number 3, one wants it, one's unsure. Yet they all still come. People come while a spouse is in the midst of an affair. People come while people are separated. People come after they divorce and they want to get back together. Whatever your circumstance or situation is, if you're telling yourself, this is the reason why I should not come, rebuke that thought. Stop disqualifying yourself based upon your current situation. Get here, and get here now. Because if you don't, all you're doing is prolonging what currently remains. So how long do you want to continue to be in a relationship with your spouse lying? Another month? Another 2? Another year? So you're going to wait for him to stop doing what he's doing and then you're ready? Or do you come here because he's doing what he's doing and you're doing what you're doing and you two are kind of in a bad space and you're coming here to change course? Does that make sense? These are the things that we need to do. We need to move forward. I got another comment. Things came up for me and my husband that never would have if there wasn't that extra support. Yep, that's very true. I don't know what extra support you're talking about. Maybe it's the show. Maybe it's the Moving Forward program. I can't tell by your title. But yeah, support is key, guys. You cannot do it on your own. Listen, real talk. This weekend, Danielle and I said, all right, listen. We got this quote from a landscaper to do our backyard, and it was insanity. And we were like, you know what? That price is crazy. Why don't we just do this ourselves? So we went to the nursery. We bought some plants. We bought a few flowers. We bought a whole bunch of dirt, right? We bought like all the things to beautify a certain portion of the backyard. So I'm like, we saved a whole lot of money doing it on our own. And then I grabbed that shovel and attempted to dig into that ground, not realizing, wait a minute, I'm in Georgia. They have clay underneath the soil. And it was back-breaking work. And that project was not completed. And I realized while there are some things that I'm competent and qualified to do, there are other things that I am not. So guess who I called? The individual who gave me the initial quote, had him come back out and had to go through the project again. And so what I'm saying is, guys, support is necessary. You weren't designed to do it all. Operate and function in your area of competence and stay there, and tap into other people who have expertise in spaces that you don't, so that things can get better in your life. I'm gonna go to one more comment and then go back to the points. Sherry says, my husband and I both need to communicate better. The problem is when I try to discuss unresolved issues from the past, the conversation turns heated. I also have unresolved questions about the affair that had ended back last November. We want to move forward, but he says that he's blocked everything out about the affair. How can we move on? I'm sorry. Forgive me for being redundant. You can't move on alone. You need to find somebody who can help you, because when it comes to these type of conversations and you've reached a block, you need somebody to intermediate. Intermediate, is that the word? To get involved, right? You need somebody there who's going to facilitate and navigate that conversation and hold you both accountable and pull things out. When you come to like a last chance weekend or a private marriage intensive and you're spending, hours on a particular topic, at some point, both partners break and all of it comes out. And what you struggle to do on your own, or what you struggle to do in hourly sessions, because guess what? We got 45 minutes. I can be at a standstill and I can just stall to the end of the session. And now I got another week, right, to delay this process. When you're in a last chance weekend or a private marriage intensive, you can't hide. You can't go anywhere. And something about the way it's structured allows truth to come out. I remember one woman saying, man, I learned more about my husband in this 3-day private marriage intensive than I've known in the last 7 years. We've had conversations we've never had. We've done things we've never done. We have insight that we've never had in this relationship before. And so you've got to be able, if you want to move forward, reach out to us and let's see what we can do to assist you in your journey. All right, guys, we're talking about the 10 things. Let's go to the next one. Should statements. Now, usually when we're using these should statements, they're a form of criticizing, right? We criticize, we judge, we condemn our spouse with should statements or shouldn't statements or must statements or ought to statements or have to statements or whatever it is. We're putting demands on our spouse. And oftentimes when we're trying to create a safe environment in the way in which we communicate, we always have ground rules for effective communication. If we honor the ground rules, the conversation can go well. If we don't honor the ground rules, it will not go well. So when you're making selfish demands, when you're using harsh judgments, when you're doing finger pointing and you're very accusatory, when you're always focusing on what somebody needs to do or what they should do, or it's off-putting. It doesn't make someone open to the conversation. And so should statements, you should have done, and what you need to do is, and what you ought to do, and what you got to do is, and when we do that, it can come across as very parent-child, where a person feels like, okay, so now I'm in the principal's office, right? Now I'm in trouble. And so it doesn't make for an engaging conversation where you can get results that you're looking for. We're talking about the 10 things you need not do, you must not do if you're going to have an effective conversation. But in the meantime, guys, hold tight. We'll be right back right after this quick announcement.
Couples Academy is committed to serving couples around the world by reaching beyond cultural lines and language barriers. We are proud to announce that we now serve the Spanish-speaking community. So whether you're here in the United States or abroad, Couples Academy has a place for you.
Couples Academy se compromete a servir parejas de todo el mundo, superando las fronteras culturales y las barreras del idioma. Ahora, estamos orgullosos de anunciar que servimos a la comunidad de habla hispana. Entonces, ya sea que estés aquí en los Estados Unidos o en el extranjero, Couples Academy está aquí para servirle.
All right, guys, we're back. We're talking about the 10 things you should not do in communication with your partner in particular. These are principles that you can carry out in all areas of your life, in relationships with coworkers, with whoever, but particularly your spouse, okay? Let's go to the next one. I think this is an important one as well. Labeling. There's nothing worse than when you put labels on your partner. Right? So labeling, you identify your spouse with their shortcomings. You identify your spouse with the errors that they've made, their past failures, the things that they've done wrong. So instead of saying, wow, you made a mistake. No, what you do is you now attach their mistake to their character, right? And if this is your character, then this is just who you are. Right? You're a fool. You're a loser. You're a jerk. You're a cheater. You're a liar. This is just who you are. That's not what you've done. This is who you are. See, there's a difference. If that's what you've done, you have an opportunity to redeem yourself and become someone better and no longer do those things. But if this is who I identify you in terms of who you are, how can you escape from your identity? And so what happens is, even when your behaviors change, all I see you for is what you've done, right? But this is why we say you are not a human doing, you are a human being. And even though what I did was wrong and unhealthy and put us in a situation, I have the ability of becoming someone better, someone more, someone different, because I'm not a human doing. So my identity is not wrapped up in what I do or what I did. It is wrapped up in my being, who I choose to be. And as I become the best version of myself, I will then do different things. A healthy person typically does not do unhealthy things. Unhealthy people typically can't do healthy things. So what you do is an extension of who you are. So if at that time I was doing things that were wrong, doing things that were compromising, it was because I was operating and functioning in my being at a lower nature. But because of growth, because of expansion, because of internal transformation, because of deliverance, because of healing, because of the God that lives within us, redemption, right? I have the ability of becoming a better me. U squared, right? Quantifying, making exponential growth take place within me. And as I become who I was designed to be from the very beginning, now I begin to do different. So you can't imprison me to my past, right? You can't keep me trapped in guilt and shame because of what I've done. I'm remorseful. I'm apologetic. There's a healthy dose of shame and guilt that I've carried, but I've got to free myself from that to become a new creature. Right? Old things have passed away. Behold, all things become new. And if you rob me of the ability to grow, if you rob me of the ability to become new, if you rob me of the divinity within me expressing itself and manifesting itself in full form by me becoming the best version of me, then you're subjecting yourself and this relationship to heartache and pain. You will never be able to trust. You will never be able to open up your heart. You will never be able to let that wall down. You'll be never be able to fully move forward. You will remain stuck because you continue to see me the way I once was instead of seeing me for who I am. People say all the time, man, you just don't see me. You don't see me. You're looking through a lens, right? You're looking through a shade. It's almost like, where are my shades, right? You're looking at me through these shades. Things look dark. Things look dreary. The future looks bleak, right? So through these lenses, all I see is an overcast shadow on you. But once I remove the lenses, I can now see you for who you truly are. Now, wait a minute. What changed? Did you change? Or wait a minute, the lens that I was looking through changed. So if your spouse is making legitimate changes, but you refuse to acknowledge them, then maybe you're the one that needs to change. And as you both change, and as you both elevate, then the relationship can be enhanced. But if I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, dotting every I, crossing every T, showing up the right way, it doesn't matter what I do if you continue to look at me through these dark lenses and shades, because you're stuck. Is it fear that's keeping you? from seeing me for who I really am today? Is it a trust issue? Is it an insecurity? What is it, right? The focus is always pointed outwardly on what other people need to do, and you got to realize, wait a minute, maybe it's me. It's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Not my brother, not my father, not my sister, not my mother, but it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. God, I need help. Help me to remove the labels. Help me to remove the stigma. Help me to see him or her for who they truly are, not for what they've done. Deliver me from my own mess. See, when that becomes your prayer, all of a sudden things change. Things get significantly better. Hope this is helping someone, because someone needed to hear that this morning. Let's go to the very last one. Personalization and blame. See, I told you these are all cousins of one another. You blame yourself for something that you weren't entirely responsible for. Or you blame others, right? You blame others for something that they were not totally responsible for, because you're still operating from a deficit. You still have internal issues that you're personally struggling with that you project on your partner. You still have unresolved issues that haven't seen the light of day, because most of you are living life by what? Distraction. And you're avoiding issues and avoiding conflict, and problems begin to mount. So the only thing that I can do is blame. That's all I can do, because there's got to be a reason for this. And it's certainly not me, it must be you. See, when you remove all of these barriers and obstacles from your interactions, when you communicate, it allows for a breakthrough. So we're talking about creating a safe environment that is conducive for healthy communication. And when you remove these 10 things, when these 10 must nots go away, you would be amazed and surprised at the level of ease. The couple who was here last night flew in from Idaho. We were up late, using certain tools and learning how to communicate. And they were like, you know what, man, we have struggled for months on this very issue. How in the world did we resolve it in 15 minutes? See, you don't know what you don't know till you come here. So you could figure things out on your own, and it could take you years to do so. Or you can tap into a source that has what you need and to make quantum leaps. Listen, guys, why don't we just collapse time? Don't you know you can collapse time? You can choose to do things on your own and incrementally make your way forward, and it could take you years to do, or you can quantum leap by tapping into someone else's wisdom and intellect, and in days, come on now, experience a transformation and a breakthrough that it would take you years to get through. But is your time valuable? Because I value my time. I want the rest of my days to be better than my previous. I want the rest of my marriage to quantum what I've experienced thus far. And so that's why we constantly invest in us. That's why we're always seeking and searching for the next and the new. What conference, what retreat, what intensive, what coaching, what counselor, what there. We get that help, and that's why we're doing well today. Listen, guys, you're watching the Couples Academy Show. Hope you got something out of today. See you tomorrow morning for another episode. Take care. Love you.